Hi, everybody. Welcome to Trader Minute. It's great to have you aboard. All right. So it's my turn to run the show on the new broadcasting system. It's really nice. I've heard a lot of compliments today. We're just working at a few bugs with our the service that we use to broadcast. And as I was talking about a little while ago, the future's been kind of flat here the last hour or so. Not a big surprise in the middle of the day. And overall, not an overly bearish move for the market to pull back slightly like this. Nothing too bearish. And so far this year, when we've seen a little bit of pullbacks, they've been bought into. So I don't expect any major downside. There are a lot of bearish signals out there. Jeff talked about a lot of them in the energy area. We're looking into that area to be able to make a trade maybe into the close today on something there. Bad echo. Does that help out? Does that help out, Ken? I said that twice. Sorry. Does that help, Ken? I turned down our volume here a little bit on my speaker, so that should help out. Okay, well, some of the things I wanted to run through today for the top three, and we're going to look at some other things as well. I'm going to run out here and run through the positions real quick. Starbucks. All right, Ken. Starbucks, we're down about 74 cents. Now, from technically, right, you guys probably know what I'm going to say. It broke through 80. 80 is a big number here. It's come back and it has retested that area. For 80 to break, might cause us to pull it off the table. And we'd end up with a profit on this. We're still up quite a bit, a pretty good percentage here on Starbucks. But for 80 to break, that would probably cause our exit. 80 holds, then hey, we probably push up higher tomorrow. We're probably likely to head up into the lower 80s, 81 to 82 dollar area. We're looking for the 82 to an $83 price target on Starbucks, and that's what we're still hoping for. TLT still running, looks great in the upper band, still pushing higher. This is one of those that we're expecting to go up to the 110 area. Things still look really good here. Position in AUY, Yamaha. Pulling down today, it looks like it hits 10 as a little bit of resistance down about 26. It's been fairly flat this morning, hanging out just above 10. It's selling off a little bit right now. We're going to take a look at this, watch it into the close today, but so far it's technically nothing too big concerning right here on Yamaha. And we still think that gold is going to spike a little bit higher with things going on in the marketplace. Okay, so for the top three today, one of the stocks I came across, and I put this out a little bit earlier, and Jeff's talked about it as well with Tesla forming a trend rider bear signal on volumes. Got some strong volume breaking in the lower Bollinger Band. If I put in the template here with the trend rider, you're going to notice the RSI has already broken through 50, down sharply. Again, the strong volume breaking in the lower band. The options here, man, the spreads are like 15 to 20 cents on them. Not the greatest option spreads here. I thought they might be a little bit tighter, but for someone to go after this, I don't know if I'd want to bring everybody into something like this if you follow us here. But man, I see a lot of downside potential here. Really down in the 140 area. I mean, as Jeff mentioned earlier, the stock is fundamentally way overpriced, kind of like a Netflix, but very bearish setup here for Tesla. Another one is St. Jude's. And look at St. Jude's here from a vibe perspective. From vibe perspective, got all three major moving averages up. You got the 200, the 100, as well as the 50-day average, all in a locked up position. It's pushing up through the 7. I'd like to see it push up a little bit more going into the close today. One thing's a little bit concerning is the volume. All volume appears to be pretty light on this, but overall pretty bullish on this area. It had seen some big volumes come in here, and usually the big volumes are what it takes to break resistance areas and hold those levels. And so you see past resistance right here was at 56. It broke through that about a week ago. It's been above it ever since, pushing up back up through the 7 and pushing up through that area again today. All signs point higher here. Going to watch this into the close. I'd like to see a little bit more volume as we approach the close and a little bit stronger push here right at the end of the day today. Overall, good looking signal. And then lows. And lows pushing much higher today. I love the signal. It's on decent volume. We'll have decent volume by the end of the day. All three averages up. It's pushing up strongly off of 48, as well as the 7, breaking up through the 7-day moving average. Very strong signal here. Little bit of maybe possibly could get a little bit of resistance around 50, but this has been on fire. This stock has been outperforming Home Depot big time. And I'd look for a lot of upside here potentially. I like that setup. Okay, and then also those are top 3. And also we looked at little regional bank BB&T. BBT, very strong signal today. Let me show you what I mean by this. It's a trend rider signal. All right, so it's a regional bank, and if you look at the other regional banks, they're fairly flat today after Zion's announcement, right? Zion's had a really bad earnings announcement. They've plummeted. This one's just basically benefited the last couple days. PW, yes, we've been working on clearing that up today. It's a little bit more clear than what it was earlier in the day. If you change the I don't know what they call it, resolution or whatever it is in the bottom right of your screen. If you go to the higher version, it's a little bit more clear than if you go to the lower version. And then being a new system, I forget what those numbers are in there. But try that. See if that might work for you, PW. Thanks for letting us know. BBT, it's good looking trend rider bull signal on some really strong volume. The volumes have been heavy here. And now with BBT, past experience tells it runs a little bit and kind of stagnates. The moves, 17-cent move today. It's gapped down and has run higher, pushing the upper Bollinger Band. It looks really good. Really, I think a better play here is on the KRE. Very similar action here. So this is an ETF. Remember, the volumes on ETFs don't count as much as if you're looking at an individual stock. Okay. Very similar trend rider bull principles. Today gapped down and is pushing higher throughout the day today. Break up here through 37.5. Very bullish for this stock. Could potentially run up near the $39.5 to $40 range here within the next week or two. Not out of the question at all. So that this setup here looks appealing as well. Some of the other stocks I want to look at, not ET, sorry. That would be Aetna. Aetna triggering a trend rider bear signal. Volumes are going to be pretty good by the end of the day today. So far, very strong signal. The area for it, 62. With these heavy volumes coming in like this, 62 is likely to break. A break of 62 could put us down. 60 would be initially a target. Could drop to 58. I wouldn't see too much problem going anywhere from $2 to $4 lower here in the next little while. But I like the signal. All right, let's take a look at Nike. Thanks, George. Yeah, Nike here. Very low volumes. Remember, the volumes have been selling volumes, which is fairly bullish when stocks pull back on light volume and stocks in an uptrend, and where you see the buying volume has been much heavier here. the first part of October here, and basically all through this month, the buying volume has been much heavier than the selling volume, which is a very bullish signal here. What I look for here is for this to right around this range to push and to run higher and going up through the $76 mark. And you get a little bit of volume on that. 78, not out of the question. Possibly in the upper 80s towards the not upper 80s, upper 70s towards the $80 mark. Strong uptrend. Today's tiny little bit of a pullback. Nothing. Very technically, this is very strong. So it broke through 74, and if it's going to hold this level up here and start to run higher in the next day or so, very, very bullish. I like this setup. Thanks, George. Entry again, I would wait for, you could try to anticipate a bounce here and be a little bit more aggressive. Personally, I would wait for it tomorrow morning, see if you get a drive pushing up higher off of this area. There is a chance it could get a gap higher. An entry today, if you basically use the 7-day average as your stop, that might be a little bit tight, but somewhere around that range is a stop. Price target at 78 initially. I like the setup. Thanks, George. Yeah, the volume here. You guys are seeing the picture here. The volume, that light volume on the selling days is actually a bullish sign. You're welcome, George. Okay, we've been talking about Goodyear Tire recently and how it broke support here at 22, came back up, retested that level yesterday, and today just hitting it and hovering above it, hovering just below it, which it still could go either direction. A push above 22 is going to be bullish for this. A move back below 22 and into the lower Bollinger Band could trigger an entry. This thing, not much resistance there. Getting all backwards. Not much support there at 20. The bigger level is going to be 19. So a push below and into that lower band, it could take it down to the 19 level fairly quickly. This thing, when it falls, it can fall. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. I don't see the entrance today. Again, if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, you could try to anticipate that, run a little bit lower. I would wait for tomorrow, see if it pushes back, see if you can catch it pushing back down, break into that lower band. There's plenty of time to catch this, in my opinion. You don't get a lot of gaps on Goodyear. We looked at this one yesterday. The Travelers. And it had that great looking setup, right? Announced earnings, sold off, ran down, closed, just under the open. Just basically under the prior day's close yesterday to give it a big red candle there. Gapping down today. No entrance at this point. A bullish sign for this would be to hold the 7 and start to run back up. Would be a bullish thing for this to do. Right now, it's hanging on to the 7. Yeah, you could. It's very close to. You could call it a spinning top, or you could say it's a very close to a gravestone. A dragonfly doji, which are nice little reversal candles. So watch that. The volume's a little bit light compared to what we've seen here the last month or so. We've got another hour and a half before the close. Let's see where those volumes take us by the end of the day. And then this is along the same lines of the energy group that Jeff's been looking at, probably to get into an entrance near the close today. The ExxonMobils and Conocos and stuff like this. Diamond Offshore, pretty bearish looking candle here. Hit the upper Bollinger Band, breaking down hard on it today. The volumes are pretty good. Volumes right up there above the average mark here, which is positive, breaking back below the 7. I moved to the lower band, not out of the question on this. The only problem is they announce earnings tomorrow. So no trade here today. Then another stock, there's been mention of Google here in the chat. Technically, this is a hold of the $1,000 mark. It broke the 3 rising methods. It's just a variation of it. You could call it a 2 rising, whatever you want to call that. Broke 1,000 here on the earnings announcement. Retested it for 2 days, bouncing up off of it today. The volumes are going to be a little bit light, but very bullish signal that this thing is going to go much higher. And Google's one of those companies that it's like Apple was a while ago. It's just hard to short. I mean, you can get some good shorts out of it, but when they got some momentum, they can just keep right on going. Be a little bit more aggressive trade here. You can see right now we're about $60 above the 7. You could get a little bit of a snapback here, but with the momentum they have, this thing could just keep right on going. I would, if I were to trade this, it'd be a little bit more risky trade, but you could do it. I wouldn't buy as many contracts as I normally would. Just try to control the risk here, but odds are this thing continues to run. After today's action, the odds are definitely in favor of the bulls here. Okay, Disney. Price action on it today, broke up through 69. We're coming back to that level. Really the big level of resistance was 67. A hold here at 68 would be ultra bullish since it's not even pulling back to 67. The volume's light on it. If it comes down here, there's 68 and starts to run back up. It might be a little ways away from the 7, but it'd be very bullish price action. 70 would be the next stop on Disney. All right, and then we've been looking at, we looked at AET. That's okay. Let's Humana. This has been a little bit stronger than the other stocks here. They're basically all three of them right now are starting to show some weakness. Here, Humana coming up to the 7 yesterday, today bouncing back down off of it. If it runs down in the lower band, that would trigger a trend rider bear signal. RSI breaking below 50. Look at Aetna. It already is confirming a trend rider bear signal today, so this would be the better choice out of them. All right. Okay, and then Amazon. Be interesting to see how this candle pattern works out up here. If it gaps down tomorrow, it'd be pretty bearish for it. A little bit of an island pattern here on a gap down tomorrow. But right now, pulling back on lighter volume. A lot of these stocks that have got some good news. Amazon got a decent earnings. It got a decent upgrade a couple days ago, and the earnings announcement was good. Wouldn't do anything on this right here and now, but a gap lower would be bearish, but on the lighter volumes, odds favor it to hold up in this area right here, bar any type of a big pullback come market time tomorrow. GE, very similar reactions here. We've been talking about FCX today. FCX, pretty bullish candle here. Gap up yesterday on some decent earnings, running higher today. After it gapped down, turned to run positive. The volumes are high. This thing could keep flying here. It's about $1.50 away from the 7 right now. Makes the risk a little bit hard to control, so we wouldn't enter here, but very strong looking candle. I like the action today. One of the other stocks I've been looking at, a couple of them here. One of them is Deere. Right, and Caterpillar had a horrible earnings announcement today. Yeah, look at Deere. Gap below the 7 and has run back up above it. Right up there at the area of resistance it's been at for quite some time now. This is very bullish price action, especially when it had all the reason in the world today to drop and to run lower. This went positive. Okay, volumes are a little bit light. Like to see them a little bit heavier in this type of a reversal like this, reversal candle, but very strong action. Same group is Joy Global. It's funny because you start looking at stocks, and I hear names of these companies all the time. And yesterday, as I was driving up here to work, and I came across a truck of Joy Global, I don't know if I've ever seen a Joy Global truck before, but you start trading and looking at these names, you start seeing things all around you. Look at this. So this stock has gapped down to 53 and has now run $1.50 higher to close. If it closed here, it's closing in the upper Bollinger Band. Very positive sign. And this one has the strong volume to back it up. This is going to be stronger volume than yesterday by the close today. A move higher from here could put this up. Let me think. Look at this. Around the 57 area would be probably the next little level of resistance for it. Really, 58 to 59, not out of the question for it. Very strong action here. Day two had all the reasons in the world to go down, but has turned and rallied. Well, it's basically unchanged right now. The old unch, right? Uh, but has formed a very bullish signal on what could have been a bad day for them. So yeah, another really good stock to look at. When I looked at that a little bit earlier, it didn't make my top three, but right now this would probably go in there to take out Tesla. I mean, I love the signal on Tesla. It's likely to go lower, but I just don't like the options. It's not what I want. But Joy Global, very heavily traded company. Uh, Looking to dig into the options on this. So that's what I'm looking at going into the close tonight. I'll be on chat with you. Oh, let me go look at CMG. Sorry, Joan. Oh, we just had Cafe Rio here, so I'm not hungry for a Chipotle today. But look at the chart. This is still showing strength. The volumes are a little bit weak here, but it gapped down and has run higher throughout the day. It's down about $1.27. Initially it was down a couple more dollars than that. And I'd like to see a little bit more of a retest. It hit resistance there at 510, basically went flat for a day, bounced higher again today. For any type of an entry here, if you're in this, I don't see any reason to leave it right now. If you want to put a tight stop on it, I'd put a stop at about 510. Okay, but today's action's not bearish at all. It's quite a ways from the 7 on the big earnings announcement. But right now, holding up pretty nicely after everything it's been through. Hard to say a price target on this. You could go with the numbers along the side every 10. That's what a lot of these stocks will do, but it's hard to call it after the big gap and run like that. But that's what I do. For an entrance here, I don't see one right off the bat. It'd be a pretty aggressive trading. But I like the fact that it's held 510. For me, I'd love to see it come back and retest 510 or the 500 mark, and then look for a push higher and let that 7-day moving average catch up with it. That's what I look for an entry on that one. As far as puts, in my opinion, a little bit too early. It's still showing some strength here. Today's candle is one of these red hollows. It's a little bit of sign of strength. I think it's just a little bit early. I'd look for this to break 510 before I got too interested in puts on here. Panera. Gap down. So it's gapped down a little bit. This is, I didn't check this. It's probably on earnings since we're in the middle of earnings season. Most likely. Is this on earnings, Joan? I guess I can run check real fast. Yeah, so here we go. They're announcing after the bell. Well, they did it last night, sorry. I'm thinking today's the 22nd. All right, so with the earnings announcement here, I'm just not one to play a lot of stocks right after an earnings announcement. I like to let them settle down a little bit. There can be times where you can find some good setups, as we looked at with, my mind went blank. Just recently, a stock gap down and ran up, nearly went positive that very day, and had a nice follow through the next day. Occasionally, you can see them, but here, when a gap down like this, down almost 5%, to turn around and buy puts or really buy calls at this point is just a toss-up. It could go either direction. You just don't know after this type of price action. It's a fundamental move, right? It's not technical. So the technicals will be blown for a few days, maybe up to a week. But candlestick action can help it, maybe put you into something like that. But I don't like anything on it right now. Okay, yeah, there's just not a lot of way to control risk at this point. Okay. Well, that's what I'm looking at the close today. Jeff will be on here with you probably about a half an hour from now. If you have any questions, I'll be on chat. Jeff will be on chat. You can also reach us through email. And looking forward to talking with you on chat. Hang on just for a second here. Just want to look at one more thing. All right. Okay, well, I'll be on chat with you. If you have any questions or comments, put them in there or through email. Okay, thank you. Have a great afternoon. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.